Hey guys, this is Coach Brian bringing you your 8-1 through 8-3 quiz review for pre-calculus. This first section has the quiz dates in it, and I just want to remind you that these are incorrect. It's going to be the 10th for A Day, and it's going to be the 13th for B Day. So make sure you're prepared using this to prepare for taking your quiz next class. Now, this first section says to write at least one possible formula for triangle ABC. So they're actually wanting us to use this triangle that's provided. That is angle A, B, and angle C. And you need to remember that the lowercase letter goes across from the uppercase. And that lowercase is going to be a side. And that your uppercase is going to represent an angle. So when you're talking about angles, you need to use uppercase letters. When you're talking about sides, you're going to use lowercase letters. So if we were using this particular triangle for law of cosines, we have three possible equations. It says just write one, but I'm just going to write them all out. Remember, the first one is a squared. If you use an a, that means b and c are going to make up the remainder of your equation. And then you're going to multiply by the cosine of the capital letter that matches. So if we were to do this with B, it would look like this. And if we were to do it with C, it would look like this. So those are your options for law of cosines. Another reminder is when you can actually use the law of cosines. There's two cases. The first one is if you have side, angle, side. And the second one is if you have side, side, side. Those are the two conditions where you can use the law of cosines. Law of sines is when everything can be set up as a proportion. So you could say sine of A over A equals sine of B over B equals sine of C over C. And these can also be flipped. By that, I mean you could do, let me shrink this a little bit. I know this makes y'all very happy when I do this in the videos. All right, it can also be flipped. So you could say A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. Sometimes it's easier to use one or the other based on whatever information you're given to begin with. It might make your cross multiplying and dividing a little easier. For the area of the oblique triangle, remember you need to have, this reminds me, when can you use law of sines? There are three cases where you can use the law of sines. You can use it if it's angle, side, angle. You can use it if it's angle, angle, side, or if it is side, side, angle. Now, lastly, area of the oblique triangle. To find the area, you have to have a side, angle, side triangle because you have to have that included angle. So remember, that would look something like if you had the corner right here, you knew this vertex or this angle A, and you also had these two sides. And the equation for this is going to be that area equals 1/2 side 1 times side 2 times the sine of the included angle. That means the angle in the middle, in between the two sides you have. All right, let's get started on these problems. The instructions say solve for the requested information, round your answer to the nearest thousandth. Remember, that's going to be 3 decimal places. So the first one, we have an angle and two sides, and we're asked to find a missing side. So if it helps, go ahead and sketch out a triangle. Sorry, that's not a triangle. Go ahead and sketch out a triangle. Next, you just label it A. Let's make that C because in the problem we're given C. So we'll say C, A, B, and then label what you know. Angle C is 115. Side C is across from it. Side B is 21, and side A is 11. So if you notice right here, we have a side angle side. We have side angle side, which is the condition we need to find the area. And so we just need to plug in what we know into our formula. Area equals 1/2 side 1. So I'm going to say 11 times side 2. I'm going to use 21. And then that'll be times the sine of our angle, which is 115. So if you plugged this directly into your calculator, as is in degree mode, okay, you need to be in degree mode because the angle's in degrees. But if you plug this in directly into your calculator, you should get that C equals 27.518. And they didn't give us any units for that, so we just need to leave it as is. For our next question, question 2, they give us A, they give us B, they give us C, and they want us to find the area, which is what I just did for question 1. So I am going to, I'm not going to re-record this, so I'm going to delete it. I know this is going to make some of you mad. I apologize. We are looking for C, not the area. I don't know what I was thinking. So we're looking for this side across from here. Now, we have side angle side, which means we can use the law of cosines, and we would just set up our equation to solve for C. We just wrote all these down, so they should be at the top of your paper. We want to plug in what we know. We don't know C, but we do know A. We do know B. We do know A times B. And we do know that our angle is 115. So again, for this stage, we need to get rid of this exponent of 2, which means we need to square root both sides. And, need to square root both sides. And so you could actually type this entire expression into your calculator. And when you do that, you should get that C is 27.518. That's the length of the side. Now, for this next question, we are looking for our area. We're looking for area, which is what I just did by mistake on question number 1. So we need to take the information that is given, and just like always, if it helps, draw a triangle to organize your thinking. We're going to label it A, B, C. We know that angle A is 32 degrees. Side B, which is going to be across from B, is 23. And side C, which is across from C, is going to be 47. Again, this is a side angle side, so we can use our area formula. We just need to plug in what we know. Side 1 is 23, side 2 is 47, and then we're going to multiply that by the sine of 32. And so again, you can plug this directly into your calculator. You can plug it directly into your calculator, and you should get that the area of this triangle is 286.421. They didn't give us units, so you would just say units squared, because area is all about square units and space covered. For 3 and 4, it says solve each triangle for the specified angle measure. So we're looking for missing angles here. It says round your answer to the nearest degree. All right, so for this first one, we are gonna sketch out our triangle. And we can see here that we have a little a, little b, little c. That means our angles are gonna be A, B, C. The shortest side A is gonna be across from angle A. It's 11. Next, we got B across from B. It's 14. and we have C across from C, it's 17. Based on this given information, this is a side-side-side triangle, which means we can use the law of cosines. Now, we're specifically looking for angle A only, so we would like to set this up with the equation based around A. So I'm going to write that out real quick. It should be at the top of your notes. And then we're going to plug in what we know. A is 11. B is 14. C is 17. BC would be 17 times 14. And then cosine is what we don't know. We don't know angle A, so we're going to leave it as a capital A. Now we're going to start simplifying. So we got 121, 196, 289, and then all these things multiplied right here give me 476 cosine A. Now, I'm still going to keep combining terms where I can, so these can be added. 196 plus 289 is 485. And again, like we've been saying in class, I can't do anything with these two numbers because the 476 and the cosine A are being multiplied, which bonds them together. So what we want to do first is we want to subtract 485 from both sides. Then I'm gonna be a little lazy here, so I'm just gonna say, let me rewrite this. I'm gonna be a little lazy here. I'm gonna leave it as minus 485. Then we want to divide by negative 476. And then the last step, we need to get rid of the cosine. So to do that, we use the cosine inverse, and those will cancel out. So I know this looks a little funky. I'm about to clean it up. We've got A isolated, and so we would say that A equals the cosine inverse of 121 minus 485 divided by negative 476. I don't have a calculator on me, so like I said, I'm being a little lazy. Now, if you type this into your calculator directly as is, you will get that A equals 40.119 degrees, and our instructions say round to the nearest degree, so we would round that down to 40 degrees. All right, next example is going to be very similar. We have a side, and I know that because my instructions have 3 little letters in it, and we're looking for an angle. So you could draw a picture, but since it's like the one we just did, we're going to use our cosine function set up for B. So remember, when I use B, my other 2 letters will fully form my equation for me. I don't know B, so ultimately I need to solve for B like I did for A over here. So I'm going to plug in what I know. B is 43, A is 23, C is 31, AC will be 23 times 31, and then cosine B will stay cosine B. Now I need to start simplifying. So 43 squared is 1849. 23 squared is 529. 31 squared is 961. 2 times 23 times 31 is 1426 cosine B. I need to combine these terms. 529 and 961 gives me 1490. So I have 1849 equals 1490 minus 1426 cosine B. So first thing, I need to subtract 1490. So I'm just going to write it how I did over here. I've got 1849 minus 1490. Next, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1426. And then the final step is that I need to get rid of cosine. So I'm going to use cosine inverse. And I've isolated b. So I can type this entire thing into my calculator. And I will get that b equals 104.581 degrees, which would then round to 105 degrees. So I got 40 degrees for number 3, 105 degrees for number 4. All right, a couple more examples left. Both of these say to solve the triangle for the indicated side. So we're solving for small letters, and we're rounding them to the nearest thousandth. Okay, so we're looking for sides rounding to the nearest thousandth. So if it helps, you can sketch out a triangle. We can label it. You can see we've got angle, angle, side. That should already be a little clue right there. When you see angle, angle, side, if you recall from question number 1, this is going to be the law of sines. We're going to use the law of sines here. And so if it helps, you can go ahead and sketch this out. I'm going to do A, B, C. I'm going to show that C is 47. That's little c. Big B is 42. Little a is 39. So essentially what I'm looking for is this side over here. Now, to do that, to use the law of sines, I need an angle side combo. And right now, I don't have any angle and side combos. But if you remember from geometry, I can find this third angle. I can find angle C by taking 180 and subtracting the other two angles. And if you do that, you can quickly find that angle C is 99 degrees. Now that gives me an angle and a side combo. I have both C, the side, and C, the angle. So if I'm using law of sines, I'm going to set up one using my C proportions. And I'm looking for A, so I'm going to also use A. Now, this is the point where you fill in all of the numbers that you know. So I know that C is 99 degrees. I know that little c is 47. I know that angle A is 39. And what I don't know is little a, because that's what I'm looking for. That's what the whole problem is telling me to find. So when I reach this step, I'm going to cross multiply, and then I'm going to divide. I'm going to cross multiply and divide. So I've got 47 times sine 39, and I'm going to divide that by sine of 99. And that should isolate my a, which means I can type this directly into my calculator, and I will get what little a is, which is 29.947 feet. I need to use feet because they gave me the sides in feet. Our next problem is similar. They give us an angle and another angle. And when you have two, you might as well just go ahead and find the third. Angle A is going to be 180 minus 72 minus 31. 72 and 31 give me 103. So 180 minus 83 is going to leave me with 77 degrees. That's angle A, 77 degrees. Now, they also give me side A, which is 103. And they want me to find side B. So, using the side angle combo that I have, which is A, I need to find what I don't know, which is B. At this stage, I would plug in what I know. I know that A, the angle, is 77 degrees. A, the side, is 103. B, the angle, is 72 degrees. And B, the side, is what I don't know, so I need to find it. So just like last problem, I'm going to cross multiply and then divide. 103 times sine 72 divided by sine 77. And that gets my B isolated. Since that's isolated, I can type this into my calculator and I should get the answer for B, which is 100.536. Now, the last question, word problem. It says solve the following word problem following the existing rules for rounding and for units. It says from 2 points, P and Q, that are 140 feet apart. So that immediately tells me that this distance is 140 feet. The lines of sight to a flagpole across a river make angles of 79 and 58 respectively, with the line joining P and Q. What is the distance from P to the flagpole? P to the flagpole. We're looking for that side. And what is the area of the triangle? So this is a two-part question. First thing we need to find or identify is what we know. So first, we have this third angle right here. It's P, Q, and we can just call it F because it's where the flag is. Now, I don't know it, but I do know the other two. So let's go ahead and find angle F, and we'll say that it is 180 minus 79 minus 58. And that leaves us with 43 degrees. So we now know all three angles. Now, since we labeled that F and we know the side across from it is 140, we could say that 140 is little f. And what we're looking for is the side across from Q. So we'll say we're looking for little q. Now, when we're looking for missing sides, and you look right here, we have an angle, side, angle, which is one of the conditions for law of sines. So what we can do is we can use the law of sines to find this missing side. And so what we would do is we'd set up using the side angle combo that we know, which is F. We'd set up a proportion to find the one that we don't know, which is Q. Once you get it set up, you would want to go ahead and fill in what you know. I know that big F, capital F, is 43. I know that little f is 140. I know that big Q, the angle, is 58, and I don't know little q. So I'm going to cross multiply and divide. 140 sine 58 divided by sine 43 should give me q. And if you type that into your calculator, you will get that side q is 174.087 feet. Now, that does help us. We also need to find the area. Area can come from any side angle side that I have. So if you look, I only know two sides. I know 140, and I now know Q because I just found it. And I do know the angle between them, which is angle P. So I'm going to use that corner to set up my equation. So remember, I need the 1/2 times the two sides times the sine of the included angle. So I'm going to use F as side 1, Q that I just found as side 2, and I'm going to use the sine of angle P, which is 79. you can type this directly into your calculator, and you should get that the area of this triangle is 11,962.165 feet squared. And that is your 8-1 through 8-3 quiz review. So I hope this helps you prepare.